A lot of people think that my first movie is the first Mallet movie, Mallet 1. That's not the truth. I have lied to you guys. Well, I haven't lied because I've mentioned it along the way. I've mentioned it over the years. A lot of my friends, a lot of my family know, but I have never felt a need to bring up that I had, as my friend Francis would say, a zeroth movie. When he said that, I thought that was like, wow, you know what? That was my zeroth movie because I felt like it was a zero. Going back about 13 years ago, maybe a little longer actually. I released it, I think, 13 years ago. I made a movie called Don't Go on the Trail, a Jody S. Dean film. It was my first movie ever. Everybody around me was like, dude, pace yourself, raise some money, take your time making your first movie. And I wanted to make it so bad. I was so sick of waiting because if you wait too long sometimes, and actually that's calloused me to be what I am now. But like my thought process back then is still the same now. If you wait for people, if you're always waiting, look at all the time you could have got something done. Do we have the means to do it? Do we have the passion to do it? Do we have the equipment to do it? Let's do it now. And back then, I had about maybe $10,000 that I could spend and not necessarily not miss, but like I could contribute to this project that I believed in. I wrote the script called Don't Go on the Trail. I pulled actors off Craigslist, off a local forum back then, and they wanted to do it. People wanted to be in the film. People wanted to be in the movie, and we shot it. And my whole life I had studied horror. I had studied what I seen on the screen, so I knew what to do with things like a camera. I knew what to do with lighting. I learned special effects very quickly back then. Not that there was like an overkill amount of special effects in Don't Go on the Trail, but there were a few like really good things in there for sure. Um, but what basically, I just wanted to make a movie so bad, I just made it. So even though I knew what to do with a camera, I didn't know the functions of a camera like I do now. Now, man, I'm high speed. But at that time, like I didn't know like, the frame rate settings and to make sure you check them and every single time you turn on the camera and the white balance. And basically for me, there were shots in the movie that weren't good quality shots, and that really just stemmed from me not knowing the technical aspects of the camera back then. I knew how to point it. I knew where, what I wanted the shot to look like, but things were overexposed. Things were, you know, blurry and out of focus, and I didn't, truly know how bad the autofocus was on the camera. So like even when you're using the autofocus on that particular camera, you hear a little clicking sometimes when it's trying to catch up to your subject. So then that's in your audio. And that's another thing. I didn't have, external recording devices, back then. You can record on some cameras and use the audio from them for sure. But if you're making a movie, you should probably use a boom operator or some kind of external recording audio device. So there was just a lot of things that I was unhappy with, but it didn't really hit me until I already announced the film was getting ready to release. And also, there started out of nowhere, companies were writing about this film, like some big companies, and people writing about it all over the world. I remember there was somebody that wrote about the film in Trinidad. I don't know anybody in Trinidad to date. There was people that wrote about it in Paris and like just places that I've never been, places I didn't know anybody. And here I was thinking to myself, this is going to be seen. And I started to get anxiety because being a filmmaker is something that's very important to me. And I'm not going for masterpieces. I don't ever see myself trying to make blockbuster hits. Like I love indie B horror movies. I love them so much. I love shitty horror movies. I don't want to make shitty horror movies, but I also am not trying. I mean, all the movies I make on a $10,000 budget. You can only do so much. And as a writer just said in a review that they did on me. It was Horror Buzz. They said, why? Because Dean likes the challenge. That's true. That's beautifully said. I do like the challenge of seeing what I can do. And I'm not saying that I'm not ever going to. There's one script I have I need at least $250,000 for. I'm not willing to risk $250,000 of my own money, so we'll see what happens. I think that's like 5 years out. But I am willing to risk, $10,000 a film. I think that you can do a lot with 10. And in some cases, I think people spend $250,000 making a film and $250,000 doesn't end up on the screen. I don't ever pay myself because I want to have a functioning film studio, and I am blessed and lucky enough to have revenue from other areas to be able to survive on, to be able to have retirement and things like that. So I'm not giving up on core things. But Don't Go on the Trail, I pulled it back then. It was only out for a couple days, and I pulled it out because I'm starting to see some DVD sales come in. Nothing crazy. I don't want to blow it up like it wasn't like it didn't do what Mallet did, I can tell you that, or Mallet 2. But they were starting to come in, and I was like, I don't want to be known. I don't want to be known for this movie being my first film. And maybe that's weird because like everybody's got to start somewhere. And I think that has now, it's now resurfaced, and I now look at it different because I'm really actually known for Mallet. And I watched Don't Go on the Trail a few months ago. And one thing that really hit me was, some of the movies I like to watch, it reminds me of them. And in some cases, it's better than them. Like, I've watched some really cringy stuff and still appreciate it. I'm like, you know what? It's actually not that bad. It's not great, but it's not that bad. Like, I enjoyed watching it. I've actually watched it a second time, and I enjoyed watching it the second time too. So there's something there. And I've decided to re-release the movie. And I want to give a big shout out to Krista and Francis and other people outside of my family, because my family's always cheerleading me on. They're the best, dude. Whatever I do, they're going to support. And Alicia's been actually working hard, like, behind the scenes and stuff, helping me get that movie so I can, because I didn't even have a physical copy. When I say I pulled it, got rid of it. I said, I don't want this to exist. She found a copy for me. She pulled the copy so I could have a digital file of it. And it sucked because we didn't have the original file, but we have a good enough file to re-release the movie. And, there's a lot of people who are like, dude, just release it, man. Release it. I want to see it. I want to see it. I'm like, you know what? I kind of want you to see it now, too. I want you to see where I was at then and where I'm at now. And believe it or not, like, for going like 13 to 14 and a half years back, it wasn't that bad. I think that had I never had to stop, I would be in a crazy place right now. However, everything happens as it's supposed to. And I think what happened was, after that, I kind of was like, okay, I'm not done with film, but I'm at least gonna make some other things happen. We had a kid. We had Jace, which is now acting in my films. We bought a house. I became a YouTuber, which is something I never planned on doing. She talked me into that, and I ended up becoming very successful at that and doing really well with the platform. Still doing it. I don't even think Mallet would have had the success it did if it wasn't for YouTube, because my people really stepped up and they supported it. And we're still selling DVDs while a lot of people, it's done for them, but people are wanting these DVDs, and it's really cool. And it's a way to keep physical media alive because horror is the strongest platform there is. But Don't Go on the Trail is getting ready to come back to life. And I'm actually excited about it, man. I got Cop Killer too. We're not gonna not talk about Cop Killer, but I think a lot of people know Cop Killer is coming. It's coming out in July. You're going to get Don't Go on the Trail very, very soon. It's gonna be available for digital download. So keep your eyes open. And that's just a little of the backstory about my actual first movie ever.